Okay.
I have the fantastic Michaela Tackett here, who's the Instruction and Technology Librarian at Stanley Community College, and they will take it away with their session on building a high engagement library with your campus learning management system.
Hey, hi. Yes, I'm Michaela. I am going to say in advance, I do tend to I talk fast and I kind of run my mouth. So if I need to slow down, holler in the chat, and I will try my best to do that. Uh, but tendency to run fast. So I am very new to this. I've started Stanley in August, and this is my first job out of grad school. So I kind of came in and started swinging my fist, doing random things, I guess. And one of the things that I did starting out was like I looked at the interactions I was having with students, and I said, okay, um, I think it would be really, really helpful for me to be able to see exactly what you guys are doing in in your classes. So what I did from there was got into our Canvas, and I'm going to go over that today about how we are. Um, sorry, I'm really nervous. Let me restart this section here. I'm going to go over how I went about getting into Canvas and then what I use Canvas to do. So the outline of this session right now, we're going to talk about the reasons why you might want to get into your learning management system on both your own level. We're going to talk about it on your own reasoning and then also the reasoning that you need to present to asking the admin at your school for that access because some of them may be hesitant to do that. And then after that, once we've gotten in, we're going to talk about how we can use that to improve your instruction and reference services, to guide your collection development, and springboard targeted faculty outreach. So you can go into for faculty with specific issues that can be addressed in Canvas. And then the future directions that we are going in at Stanley, maybe if just kind of as a brainstorming session for the collective. So you know what we're doing. Maybe you can think of things that you want to do and tell us about that. Yay. Okay. Get into your LMS. Let you in. Let me in. Let you all in. It's the biggest takeaway. If you forget everything else I told you in this whole thing, get in there because once you get Canvas God powers, that's what I refer to it as, you will become so powerful, the most powerful person in the world. Um, you may ask yourself, or ask me, or your admin may ask you, why do you need to get into Canvas? You're just a librarian. You're not teaching any classes. And you can come back out then with this. It will improve your instruction and your reference services for students. It will improve your collection development, and it will improve your outreach to staff, faculty, students, and help you keep up with housekeeping. We're going to talk more in depth about all of these things as we move forward. Yay. So first, I want to ask you guys, what LMS are you using right now at your institution? I know we're all moving to Canvas, but if you are not on Canvas, what are you using? And as it exists right now for you, are you able to go in and see course content? And if so, what kind? Or alternatively, if you can't see like in the course, do you have access to like syllabi and how in detailed are the ones that you can see? I know we've got Blackboard. I think some people still use what is it called? Moodle. That's what it is. Um, I've only ever seen the back end of Canvas. Been on the front of Blackboard and I've never seen Moodle in my life. Moodle. I'm so intrigued about what the inside of Moodle looks like. I feel like I could have Googled that, but one of those things. So many of you guys. Okay. Gotcha. Oh, professor's request. Interesting. Okay. Okay. I see one Canvas, Blackboards, and Moodles are what I've seen more of. So, yay, that means that this will be a sneak peek for you guys who are transferring over to Canvas. Um, and Canvas is super variable. So, what I see is not necessarily going to be exactly what you see. The added at a professor's request is interesting. That sounds like it's embedded in a way. Um, hmm. So rather than them having to ask on your behalf, we're going to work on, yes, exactly. Yeah, 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 yeah. Um, I would love to get further in and be able to like actually interact with students on Canvas in different courses, but we're not there yet. Asterisk. Okay. Um, so some more specifics of how will this improve instruction reference services for your students? It will save you time and frustration and confusion for the students when you know what their assignment is asking for them. Um, you don't have to go through this whole conversation of trying to figure out what they actually need from you. That is, a solid 15, 20 minutes of your reference interaction where it's like, okay, what's your assignment? I see. What assignment? What class is it for? Uh-huh. And what's your topic that you're writing on? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of the time, especially students that are like on a community college level, they're newer to school and they don't quite know what they need yet. That's part of, those 100 level classes is figuring out your own groove in an academic setting. They might be first time college students, and there's a lot of other situations we can tap tap on moving forward. If you can actually get into Canvas and see the assignment prompts, the rubrics, it will show you like on the actual paper what they truly actually need. And so that saves that time for those conversations and then frustration if they're trying to say what they need and then you're like, wait, but I think that you need this. And then they think that they don't need that, they need this, and blah, 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 blah. Saves that frustration, cuts it out. We also don't want to beat a dead horse. You don't want to see you don't want to cover what they've already covered in class because then they're just going to be like, this person can't help me. I don't need to be here. This is a waste of my time. Um, so that can apply for your instruction and for your reference services. I usually go for the don't beat a dead horse mentality more for instruction than reference. Um, and then the biggest thing is that it will let you direct them to databases and books and any other materials that they might need that are suitable in this exact moment for this exact assignment or course that they are in. As far as improving collection development, if you are in Canvas and you see what they cover in specific assignments and like overall in the rubric, because I actually pin in that. I was going to talk about rubrics, but I'm gonna put a pin in that. You can make sure that you're buying materials that are directly related to the assignments and the course content that they are doing. Syllabus access might not be enough to determine these specific needs. The first thing that I asked for when I got here was access to the syllabus like repository thing. I it has a name that I'm forgetting right at this exact second. But when I got in there, I found that they were all a pretty cookie cutter template syllabus and they don't have any specifics filled in. Not very helpful. So the TLDR for that is you don't need to get a book on electron microscopy if they're only using light microscopes at your school. That's very complicated and expensive, and we don't need that, right? Right. And then housekeeping. This is a less student forward portion of it. You can just poke through the actual modules and check for any broken embeds, inactive, or incorrect links. So, for example, something that happened with me this semester, the English courses redesigned the 111 shell, and they do link directly to databases in their course, and they encourage students to go to the library to use the library website, blah 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 blah. But they also link it, and they linked to go.yale.com instead of through our proxy link. So a lot of off-campus students are having issues accessing the database. So I was like, hey guys, can you change this? And we got it sorted out. All was well. You can check for completely bad links that are like totally dead. And information that can be swapped out for better library resources. So we this swap out a Wikipedia link, that's an exact accurate thing that happened to me. I'm like, hey, you can put this encyclopedia that doesn't get changed randomly in here, and it'll be great. So I keep a log of Canvas resources follow-up. It's hard to see here, but stuff that I need to go back, like if I see something and I'm like, oh man, but I don't have time in that moment, I make a note to myself to go back later and email them about it. And then the last thing is to ask yourself, do your LibGuides match the course? Because what we're trying so hard to do, right, is help the students in their courses and in their overall academic journey to get them to success. They're not going to use things that aren't useful. So we want to make sure that what we're doing is actually helpful. So how can you ask for LMS admin access in admin speak? This is a copy and paste of exactly what I asked. This is the email that I sent. So as you can see, I justified myself with all of those reasons that we just talked about more in depth, but I didn't tell them the specifics because they don't necessarily care. And I would be so happy if you guys, straight up copy and pasted this over. You're so welcome to do that. You'll get the slides. So yeah. Now we're going to talk about instruction. Yay! So we are putting on our context hats together. What do I mean by that? The students want context for the information that you're giving them. And if you're in the student's shoes, throwing it back, you're not worried about something that's 7 months down the line. You're worried about this assignment that's right in front of you. And if you are being told something like, oh, well, this might seem hard right now, but as you move forward, you're going to be able, you need to be able to know how to do this. It's going to be more useful for you in the long term. They don't care. They don't care. The assignment that they're looking at, if you can tell them how these library materials that you have will help them meet these exact requirements easily and quickly, that will help them retain that information for the future. They will know, oh, okay, I can go to the library and use these resources and get this done faster than if I'm having to sort through Google results. And that loops back into they have short attention spans. So if you're instructing, especially, and they don't think, okay, this is immediately relevant to me. And when I say they, I also mean myself. Like we all have short attention spans nowadays. We know how this goes. I mentioned underneath that they don't know how search engines work. Because they're used to being able to use natural language search and not have to do any sort of structuring to get the information that they need. When you start trying to teach them how to use any sort of structured search in your databases, they're going to go like, oh, this is hard. I don't want to do this. And then loop back to using Google instead of your library resources. And this last thing is not necessarily huge, but I always tell the students like, hey, you're paying for this, you might as well use it. Because even if all these other different things may not be contenders, it's like if you have a job, your tax money's paying for it, at least a little bit. If you're paying tuition, that's paying for it. It's here for you. It makes your life easier. Just use it. Okay. Now we're going to get in these really busy slides. I am showing a exact screenshot of what I can see with my admin access on Canvas. This is an English 111 final essay, their capstone project, the rubric of what they exactly need. And we can see right here, how many sources do they need? 3 in total. How many trustworthy? 2. How many scholarly? 1. Do you need a works cited page? Yes. These are all relevant to us. And whenever I go into an English 111 class, I give them this instead. I say, this is really early on in my presentation. Okay, let's talk about sources. This assignment that you're working on right now that they brought me in to talk to you about requires 3 sources, 2 that are trustworthy, 1 are peer reviewed. How do we know what is what? Because you can see in Canvas, you can see exactly where they covered the la 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 la. My mouth got away from me. You can see exactly where they covered parsing different information sources and seeing what they need. And then from there, I also link them to our citing and sources guide and the academic versus popular page because they get these slides so they can just click it directly and get to it. And then down here at the very bottom, I have sift and trap, and I have leave the horse alone, 2 asterisks. Huh? What does that mean? This is their Canvas module for module 7, which is where they go to sort out what they need to cite, what they don't need to cite, how they can know what is reliable information, yada, yada, yada. Look at all these words. There's a lot. And one of the things that they talk about is SIFT. Because they already talk about SIFT, I don't talk about SIFT whenever I'm instructing them. I talk about TRAP. This is off of our LibGuides, and I also put it in my PowerPoints during instruction. I say, don't get trapped by bad information, and have a kitty getting trapped in my slideshow. Aha. So with this one, I use obviously we all know crap. I like trap instead of crap because currency has 2 meanings, money and time. For timeliness, it's just easier in my brain to remember, and then also you don't have to deal with the toilet from the high schoolers if you have those. I do. So I hit purpose really hard, specifically to talk to them about AI profit motive and search engine top results. Because am I being manipulative? Maybe, but I want to tell them that if they're Googling stuff, it's going to be serving them. And if they're using stuff on ChatGPT, the results that they're getting are served, they have a purpose. The OpenAI, their purpose is to get more users. So it's going to tell you what you ask it for, even if that's not what you actually need. So I do like a yeah, okay. I was making sure I didn't put this in there later. I like tell them exactly how an AI a generative AI model will like scrape the web for different words, and then I say, okay, you ask this for this query, and then it's going to read all these different articles that do exist that are somewhat related to your topic. They're going to pull these words and then give you a fake article, and that I all tie into purpose. Okay, so this is back on attention spans are very short. Leave the horse alone, or they're not going to pay attention once you get to the hard part. Because if you're all like me, we do the how do I know what information is good before I start talking about searching in databases? If they've already heard about SIFT in class and also in their online module, they're not going to listen to me if I start talking about it. And then also at the same time, though, you have to make sure you hit on that at least a little bit because especially online students, they see this text brick. I ain't reading all that. A lot of them don't. And I'm sure we all know this. They come in. That's why I tell them exactly which module they covered it in Canvas, because I can loop back and say, looky here, this is what you read already. And it says all of this. So you can go back and read it if you want. But then also, if this doesn't make sense, look at my thing. So here's my thing, my instruction slide. Instead of wah, 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 I say, why should we use a database? More specific, it's more reliable, your tuition is going somewhere. They care about money, they care about the assignment requirements, and they care that it is easy to get the information that they want. Here's another one of my instruction slides. Yes, and citations as well. So for the where to find sources before I start hitting, on how to use the databases, I say, make your life easier, just use the library. The resources are not, okay, vetting information is not easy. If you use our sources that are available to you through the library, you don't have to worry about it as much. You don't have to think as hard because everything that we have has already been vetted. And you can click, for example, like say we're in Credo, you can click on the little icon that can show this is from an encyclopedia or this is from a journal. You then can just check mark like, oh, scholarly article, trustworthy source, and then move on with your life. 8. Okay, what do you guys see insofar as pain points for reference interactions with your first year students or like first year students or students who haven't taken English? This is something we're bumping into a lot here where there's students that are in like 200 level classes, but they haven't actually taken 100 level English yet. And I'm going to come in with my own examples as well afterwards. Yup. Not fully understanding the assignment. Yup, yup, yup. They are not. Dang, my water bottle section is doing. Not reading all the directions. And so wouldn't it be nice and a lot easier if instead of having to peer over their shoulder and be like, click on this, you could just go in there and be like, hey, look, it says right here on my laptop, right next to yours. This is where it says the instructions. That's why you need in Canvas, baby. So, as we talked about already, and we're going to expand on now, students may be brand new to college. They may be taking their first class in like 10 years. They could be taking their classes out of order. They could have tested out of English 111 and taken English 112 online and didn't read the module 7. So they don't have the background that they need to do research. And yeah, they might not understand the assignment or this, that, and the other, all of the above, any combination thereof. So my real life student situations, really quick, because I want to make sure that I stay on track and I do be a yapper. My most recent real life student interaction is I had a guy who's coming back to school for his degree after being out of school for 30 years and is having to take he's in Psych 231, which is forensic psychology, and he has not taken any English yet at all and had to write a research paper. So we did a lot of fun times. If you guys have had anything similar to that, pop the story in the chat. I'm going to scooch along. This is another example, what I like to call student translate, which is very helpful to have Canvas as your assistant in student translate. So this specific student said that they needed help finding articles about nuclear and solar power. They said, I don't have an argument yet. I just need to get some background information. These articles only need to be general overviews, and I don't like to use SIRS or Credo or whatever because the articles have to be scholarly. And after a little chit-chatting, I was like, okay, so you're in 112, you're doing your module 6, which is writing in the natural sciences, and the assignment you're on is selecting a scientific subject. So did I screenshot that? No, I didn't. Oh, okay. They had a list of different subjects that they needed to pick from, and she had the one that was which is more effective, nuclear or solar in power. And she actually already did have an argument based on her own just background knowledge. Her argument was that solar power is more effective than nuclear power. And she wanted general articles to back that up, but she didn't really understand that like when you get up into the scholarly article version of that, unless you're doing a literature review, there's not really overviews if you're looking for specific articles because she forgot that literature reviews existed. So what did she really need? She needed to be reminded how to check source types on Credo and CQ because you can go and see if it's a scholarly article or not on CQ and on Credo. She needed to be reminded that literature reviews do exist because they write one earlier in this class, but it's not the right assignment right in front of them. So goodbye. And needed to be lovingly told to stop jumping right to ProQuest just because they said scholarly article. Like, pump the brakes, sister. So, in order to figure out what she actually needed, I went and read through the specific assignment requirements on Canvas. sussed out, like I said, the student did have an argument based on her prior knowledge, and we hand wrote a graphic organizer with as a T-chart with search terms with solar energy, efficacy. Because also, efficacy was in the assignment, and she didn't know what that word meant. So I had to define that for her. And once we got that sorted out, she was like, this has been super helpful. Thank you. I showed her little merry way over to CQ and to specific ProQuest databases because a lot of the teachers will send them directly to ProQuest for Research Library, which is a bit of a doozy whenever you are looking for something quite specific and you're looking through, like however many bazillion million articles. I re-explained literature reviews to her, especially of how to of how they work best for certain scientific subjects. And I, from there, drafted a handout I will show you on how to find literature reviews. And I put it away because I'm silly. Will it show up on my camera is the next question. Blur. Oh, blur. Okay. So it's a little 3-page like slideshow type, and I'm sorry it's reversed. I can link it to you guys. And I remade one to link to you guys with the school logo on it. With screenshots. It says it in big words and colors, how to filter force literature reviews. And on the front page, it says, literature reviews are great for writing scientific papers because they are peer-reviewed and scholarly, but aren't so full of technical jargon and other gobbledygook. Yay! So then they can click through these because I sent them to all the professors on Canvas, which I did mention on there. And sent this out. They can see exactly how to do it step by step. Yay! So then once I drafted that handout, I finalized it, I sent it to the professors and also along with a gentle reminder that they might want to direct students to literature reviews for this assignment. So not only was I like, hey guys, I exist, I also gave them things to show them that they might want to come holler at us down at the library. Okay, now this is the blasting through portion, the instruction and reference portion of the evening. That was the longest one. So uh and what's I can't think of the word now. Oh, end stage running. Okay. So for collection development, there's questions you can ask yourself while you're poking around in Canvas to see if what you're doing and what you are going to plan on doing in the future is going to be beneficial or not so much for your students. So you can go and ask yourself, what does each of the modules in these classes cover? And I just realized my sentence there like cut off halfway through because I was like, you guys might not all cover the modules or call them modules. So, module, unit, etc. Go in, see what they're all covering. Because even with this, like, even if you're not in class, you'll have a general idea. Then you can see what do the assignments require. Because if maybe for like, okay, American History 1 for us, during American History 1, it's standard across the state, they cover the Civil War. But there are not any assignments around specific battles, which at one point there used to be a ton of assignments that had to do about specific battles. So we have a ton of books about them, no longer relevant. They're old and crusty, and we got rid of them because we didn't need them anymore and they hadn't circulated in like 10 years. So that goes back with asking ourselves, what did we do to determine that we needed to get rid of those books? Does our collection align with the assignment requirements and the coverage in this course? No. What can we buy to replace things? We bought more general Civil War books that talk about the concepts a lot because that's what they're covering now. And what can we toss? All of these crusty books about specific battles. That's our context hat. Yeah. Okie dokie. Now this is a example for chemistry one, something, the very first chemistry. For collecting or la 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 la. Yep. Sorry, guys. I'm really nervous. I'm really nervous. This is my first time doing one of these. Um, in Canvas, you his rubric or not rubric, sorry. Um, syllabus doesn't show the coverage of like topic coverage per thank you. um Topic coverage for like, week by week thing. Like I said, our syllabi are really bare bones, but in their course materials, there is this list here of the chapters that they're covering in their textbook and the like the dates they're doing them and the chapter. I love this because also if I have someone coming in asking about like tutoring, we can tell our tutor which like what week they're on and so what they're probably going to be covering so she can be prepared for when they come in. But anyway, so with this reading schedule, I went, pulled that book, and then pulled up the table of contents to see, okay, they're covering liquids, solids, and intermolecular forces is the last thing they're getting to in this course. So then I go back and ask myself, what books on chemistry do we have? And do our books align with the course content for chemistry? We had laser experiments for chemistry and physics, a collection of experiments to introduce lasers into the undergraduate curricula in chemistry and physics. We don't have lasers, and they're not looking at lasers. And this book cost $150. Oh no, baby, what is you doing? Why do we have that? We didn't need to buy that. She's not going anywhere because she's not quite old enough to go anywhere yet. But we don't need to worry about buying another $150 book on laser experiments in chemistry and physics, right? Exactly. Okay, and now housekeeping. On Canvas, and I'm sure Blackboard is the same way, and I'm sure Moodle is the same way too. Professors have a course shell that they clone over and over again for each semester. And the current, for example, the current biology professor here or one of the one that I'm most familiar with, um, has been working here for like several years. He's been here longer than I've been here. And I was like, hey, Brian Sharp, I love the way that you have these different links embedded in your biology modules so that people will be directed to the library. And he said, thanks, I just took them off of the person who worked here before me's modules. And I said, oh, cool. So as we know, links change and die, and not everyone remembers to check them. But if you're poking around in there and you see it's dead, you could be like, hey, Brian Sharp, this link is no longer relevant. We have a different URL now. Here you go. And they say, oh, I'll fix that in all my shells. Awesome. Housekeeping. We are just, doing a little dusting. And then this is big with adjuncts as well. They sometimes never come on campus, even if they're supposed to. They may never look at their emails. They don't know what they don't know. We may have better materials. If they're like, oh, this Wikipedia article that I read right now covers alcoholism really well. I'll just put this in my course materials. They might not even know that Wikipedia, you can go back and check and, see the change dates. They might not realize, oh, this can be edited by anybody. Don't know how they would, but we have better materials. And if you offer them, you're like, hey, here you go. We have this, by the way. They don't know what they don't know. If they're never around, if they never look at their emails, they wouldn't have seen that there's these library resources that we have that can do X, Y, and Z because they don't know what they don't know. And LibGuide specific housekeeping. If you get down to the really granular level is insofar as resources that can help with specific assignments, you can highlight them if they're not already. And if they are already there, they might be outdated because, they change the assignments year by year, even if it's the same shell, perhaps. They change the assignment requirements. Okay, you need to go back and swap out what's highlighted in your LibGuide. And then usage. We love usage. Whenever your stuff is useful, they're going to use it. And then we get numbers that say we're useful. Don't we love job security? I do. So this is a concrete example. This is the English 112 course. It's a small selection of their prompts for their capstone assignment, which is the last thing that they do in the year. They have these different categories for the prompts, which you can see on Canvas in the assignment module. They say the question, the book, and then I took that and made capstone resources by topic area. I gave them a topic area and I told them which prompt category goes to the topic area. And then I linked them to the topic area in that, and then also in the sidebar, because we love to have stuff everywhere. We love redundancy. So then, because they cover the Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt, we have a copy. It's not quite course reserves, like we don't have it set aside. If someone else wants to read it and the kiddos in class, oh well. But I say, okay, we have this in print. The call number is this. The ISBN is this, because the ISBN we don't usually include in our LibGuides for this because they might need to purchase it. I put it in. And we also have digital versions. This digital version thing links to our ebooks page. The formats are available, multiple formats on Dogwood Digital and ebooks on EBSCOhost. And then I have specific databases that could be useful for their assignment because they are doing the education and social services. I have sociology database, social science database, and my little box that says general research databases that links to our A to Z databases page filtered for general. Last thing, and then I have covered everything too fast. I've gone too fast, but that's okay. Future directions here at Stanley. I am going to expand on this LibGuide further for the prompt category or the topic area pages. I'm going to put read-alike lists on here based on the current book list and then the prompts that are on Canvas, because a lot of the time students, they're allowed to pick a book from the list, come up with their own book, or ask AI for a book. Which the ask AI for a book thing also has a little tagline in there that was like, or go ask a librarian, because I threw a hissy fit whenever they put that in there. And so we do get a lot of them that will come down here, and also they'll ask AI for one, and then they're like, okay, librarian, do you have this? And I'm like, oh no, we don't, but we have this. Close enough. And then they're happy with that, because they, a lot of the time when they're new to research, like they want to come up with their own question, but it's pretty close to what the actual generated questions by the teachers is, just with a little twist to it. So if you put read-alikes on there, usually I think I had so many interactions that I ended up using the read-alike function on Novelist. I'm going to link that, and also the specific books that we have in-house, hopefully to make their lives easier. We want to add a full Canvas module into the orientation with a quiz so that they can't just skip past the video, so that folks know what we have available to them. And we also want to put that in this kind of, I'm skipping a line here. Orientation and forced perception go hand in hand. With orientation, we will force the students to perceive us. And if we can get sessions in at faculty and staff PD days or convocation here, we will force everyone else to perceive us so that we know that they know that we have things. Because a lot of the times they'll say, they don't know what they don't know. I didn't know you had that. You will. And then in the ACA classes, everyone's required to take them. So we, again, want to put a full Canvas module in there on both library resources and information literacy with a quiz. And the last thing is we have something called Embedded Librarian. And whenever I say this, you're going to be like, why did you not mention this till the end? So on Canvas shells, there is a tab on the side that says SCC Library. And this is something that they implemented before I got here. I think it was around COVID era. Formerly this LibGuide was called Embedded Librarian. And I loathe this LibGuide with every fiber of my being. I've done a lot of shifting around on it. Um, change the title to match the actual tab. Because previously, if a student came in and they're like, I'm in an online course and I XYZ thing, and we'll go, did you look at the embedded librarian thing? And they went, oh, that's because it's called SCC Library. So I changed it to SCC Library on Canvas. It's our most viewed guide. And like I said, I hate it. It's useless. And I'm planning on linking it just to our homepage because we're redesigning the homepage to be hopefully more useful. It's as I said. You want to be useful? People are going to use stuff and drive up your usage stats if it's actually helpful. Right now, it's not. I want to fix that. Um, we're redesigning the homepage. It's going to look like this instead. We're changing the name of LibGuides. This is very experimental. We're changing it to study resources because there's so many classes, that like I have, for example, Anatomy TV. That's linked in uh, the bio LibGuide because it's like you can use that as studying cell structures. And then it's also linked in the anatomy and physiology, nursing, yah. But if you call it a research guide, which is what they're currently called, a lot of people are going to be like, I'm not doing research. I don't need to use that. So we're hoping that if we change the name to study resources, it will help. That is based on student interaction and feedback from our students that whenever we say research guide, no one thinks to click on that because it's not what they're doing in this exact assignment. And the resources, what they will actually contain is not very clear. So questions, comments? Hopefully no concerns, but if there are, that's okay.
Thank you so much, Michaela. Folks, any questions in the chat?
I didn't. I think that a lot of people will and do. Um, there is a version of Access they can give you that you cannot, actually, I can show you this problem. Maybe I shouldn't. So let me go back a bit to get, nope, not that either. There she blows. Okay. Um, right here, oh, it doesn't show up on this class. That's okay. In classes that have like a discussion session and then or discussion section of modules, like the version of permissions they granted me, I cannot see discussion replies and I cannot see grades. So they were willing to give me that, and depending on who's running your uh uh ours goes through CTL, so Center for Teaching and Learning. Depending on who's in charge of that, you may get more pushback, but I would just be like, hey, there's precedent. Stanley's doing it. Honestly, that's what I would do.
Michaela, would you be able to send the handout that you showed over Zoom
Yes,
on?
I had redone that so that it has our branding on it. But
Perfect.
yes, I can put it in that. If I put it in the Google document that we have, will that
Yeah,
you can
that's
just go from
perfect.
there? Okay, cool.
Mhm.
Yay. I'm currently, this is, I mean, I finished early, so I'll just tell you guys this. I'm currently working on another handout. I'm always making handouts, guys. It's crazy. Um, this is one of my first handouts that I made because I was finding that people were having issues understanding that we had some students that thought that you only had to make to cite something in the text if it's a quote. Um, not right, wrong, in fact, extremely incorrect noise. Ooh, I have a chat. 1 second. Okay, so I usually don't. Okay, sorry. Jenny asked, how do instructors respond when you tell them, I saw this issue on your Canvas course? Um, I don't come in to the conversation telling them, like saying, oh, it's an issue, or I saw this thing. If it is an issue and I don't know how else to address it, I previously have been like, hey, I have had some interactions with students that brought up the fact that I think that the link in your Canvas course links to this, and it might be better if it linked to this, and just send them that, and it has not garnered any bad reactions. Another thing that I do that insofar as targeted as faculty outreach, sometimes I don't even say like, hey, there's a problem. I'll just pop in and be like, hey, I saw that you guys are doing a, a unit on cell structures on XYZ day. Did you know that Anatomy TV has a 3D explorer for cell structures? Link. And most of the time they're like, oh wow, thank you. Um, if I that's honestly the I saw this issue with phrasing thing is why I keep this list, because sometimes I have to sit on it a couple days until I can figure out how to ask nicely. I'm so glad. Yay. Um, oh, where's my, you know what? It might be easier if I just do this. I'll show you guys the hangout I'm making right now. Hee hee. My Firefox hates Canva, which is crazy. I'm like, what do you mean I'm using Microsoft Edge? I'm making a flow chart. This is again based on a reference interaction I had um, with multiple students um, to let me. I'm trying to just show them how to reverse engineer finding sources to get them to use more of our general, like specifically Credo. I'm a big fan of Credo right now, and I'm trying to get them to start using Credo because then I show them, look, references page, scholarly articles. Wow. But a lot of them think that they can't use it because their assignment says two scholarly articles in their brain. They're like, okay, well I don't need to get on a thing then. No, no, no. Girl, no, it's helpful. So I drafted it like so to make a little flow chart of different spots where they can start and then move forward to successfully get their article. Um, and when I get this made, you bet your booty I'm sending it to the English professors. And you're like, hey guys, you want to put this in your course show? You don't have to, but by the way, here it is. I'm just aggressively helpful. That's the other takeaway from this. Number one, get into your Canvas. Number two, be aggressively helpful.
With promoting Credo reference, and I think you mentioned CQ researcher, have you noticed usage going up from these sort of like instruction um, outreach moments that you're doing?
I'll be real with you. I have not checked.
Fair.
We like I definitely need to check that. Because mm, since I came in doing it like this, like I just from the get-go hit the ground running, doing things the way that I am. Um, and before me, there was a gap of people here. It's hard to tell whether or not like anything that we see relates to me or has different
Yeah.
reasons, I guess. We think, but I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, no, I totally get that you enter into a position and a campus and you kind of figure out what you can do to increase things in your role and support faculty and fill in those gaps that you're seeing with students in the classroom. But it can be kind of a black box of what happened before, what's impacting things. Yeah.
I definitely have seen. I've picked up the number of reference sessions that I've had booked. Like, book a librarian has definitely been going up through the
Okay.
semester,
Nice. Yeah.
and I, that's still usage. So
Mhm.
we'll take it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Any other questions? Michaela, are you okay with sharing your contact info in the follow-up email in case
Yeah,
folks want to reach out for questions? Okay.
yeah. I didn't
Yay.
get to the last slide apparently, but yeah, that's holler at me whenever. I love to talk. Thank you for coming. I appreciate you guys being here for my very first webinar. Yay!
You crushed it. This is great. Thank you
Thank
so much,
you.
Michaela. All right, folks, keep an
Awesome.
eye out for an email from me tomorrow. We have one more webinar in our April marketing series happening next Tuesday on the new NC Live e-resources marketing guide that we're unveiling. And so keep an eye out. I'll include the registration in the follow-up email in case you're interested.
Oh, I'm
All
still sharing.
right. You are good. Have a fantastic rest of your Tuesday. Thanks, Michaela. Take care, everybody.